Okay. Okay. Good evening to everyone. Good night. So I'll take another minute before you settle in and share the live. Uh, Come around here. Hold this thing. Go around. Put this laptop here. Mhm, mhm. Good. Okay. So good night. Good night to those who are now joining. Good night. Share the live feed. Let them know that Dr. Matthews is in the house. Good night to you all. Good night. Good night. Good night. Share the live. Share the live. Share the live. Okay. Good. So just to share the live, I want to thank all those who would have been joining me for the past year plus almost 2 years, and I want to let you know that I very much appreciated that you have made me who I am today on this the GMS Live Voice of Democracy and GMS Live Radio Guyana. To those who are now joining, you can join me via this live feed, which is on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, or you can join me via the the online radio, which is GMS Live Radio Guyana. So good evening to those who are joining. Good evening, and I'm very much appreciative to those who I didn't wish them Happy New Year. Happy New Year's to you too. And I'm very much appreciated that you are able to join us again tonight for another GMS Live Voice of Democracy. So, good night to those who are joining me from Guyana, to the Caribbean, West Indies, and around the world, especially in the diaspora. And for you to continue sharing the live so we can keep talking about what's right for Guyana. And for me, the truth must be told. So let me, by no longer tie up little time that I want to speak on and go straight into the topic. Quote of the night: we must have to learn, as a matter of fact, we have to learn how to get up from the table when love is no longer being served. We have to learn how to get up from the table when love is no longer being served. And I say this because in our lives as I may say Afro Guyanese or black people, we have been sitting at too many tables and love is not being served there. And those are organizations where we plan our lives to be a part of, where we help to be a part of many different organizations and to be just hold a minute for me, please. That was, yes, I'm back. I had to be disturbed there for a few minutes or two to handle a situation that, no need to be frightened about. Now, I want to talk about systematic changes not to make us of the darker races unbeneficial to us as a black people. I want to talk about it because it seems to be a trend now. I think it aroused its ugly head, and a lot of us doesn't know exactly where we are and who we are and what do we stand for. Having money or having financial wealth, it is never the beginning or the ending of life. It is a part of life. But I want us to understand that when we seek to arise, not only ourselves, but each other out of the pit that we so find ourselves in, we need to understand, where do we stand? Do we stand when we're out of that pit financially gained and we only look at our families and ourselves? Or do we stand as a representative of a people wanting to make something out of us so we can be independent just like others and be a part of a system and a country and a place? And the reason why I'm saying so, it is because the trend out there is to say to us, well, we're getting a bit of money, why can't we shut our mouths? Why do we have to prolong? Today I had a conversation, and that conversation went in many different ways. And it went in two ways, as a matter of fact, not many different ways, in two ways. One of them were the Christian way, where we see things neutrally. When I turn around and I look at my brother next to me and I said, oh, yes, it's my brother. It doesn't matter what race he is or what is his ethnic background. And for people like me who see things differently, not the neutral way, it is because I understand my history. I understand where I came from. I understand where my forefathers came from and how did they came and how did they come to this particular part of the world. I understand that slavery was part of it, played a tremendous part of in most of our lives. And I understand that slavery is still an embodiment factor in our lives. So we cannot get away from it. Those who want to get away from it, fine, it is your choice, as it was told to me. But my choice is not to sit down and accept anything that is oppressed and that will oppress me. And there and then I looked again as what is going on in our country. Now you have class, working class, and you have middle class people. Then you have poor class. That is what is happening in our country. Remember, a couple of months ago, I keep saying over and over that we are going to be divided into class. Imagine, look at what I'm talking about now. Region number 4. Region number 4 holds most of the entire population of Guyana. We have 10 regions, and region number 4 has roughly more than, let us say, 280,000 people living in region number 4. More than half the population. The population of voters that is on the voters list is 450,000, not 6 and 700 that never exist. 450,000. Now, all of these regions that we're talking about that has less than region number 4. Region number 4 is the only region, and region 10, that votes predominantly for PNC or a Partnership for National Unity and AFC. That's the only region. Those two are the only regions. And then you have region 3, we kinds of switch now and then. And then you have region 7 that are predominantly PNC or APNU AFC. So why do I expound upon this racist theory all over again? And in the US, they call it critical race theory, CRT. They want it to be taught in schools because they want young children to know that slavery was part of American history. In Guyana, it's the same thing. Brutal murder and mayhem, chaos and terrorism is part of the PPP's history. Barrett Jack Dio was president then. When those simple instances are still fresh in our memories. Now, so because they can't get to win Region 4, they want to break Region 4 up. It's common sense. You got to sit down and think about it. They're saying that they won the elections outright. Outright. They said that. They're trying to tell us that over and over, that they won the elections. So if you've won the elections, why do you want to interfere with Regions 4? Why do you want to interfere with proportional representation? Because you can't get it your way. I'm going to sit down and explain to you why they cannot get it their way and they would like to win Region 4. You see, regions number 4, which we live in right now, East Bank, East Coast, Greater Georgetown and Georgetown City, that we live in right now, it is so critical to them. There's where the hub of the money lies. So if they cannot get to rearrange the power hierarchy of the country, and when I mean the power hierarchy, I mean that's how they share the executive power. They're trying to lessen it down to region, and because they do not want the local government elections, they're trying to break us up into 4 blocks. So even if they have a local government elections, region number 4 will be killed by their partnership for national unity because they're trying to switch the laws around so they can benefit from it. And one way they're trying to benefit from it, it is the same critical theory that they used in 1961 when Chetty Bar Jagan was part of their party. The theory that they use is that if they won any region within a particular 41% and over, they won majority of the seats that is allocated. Let us say, for instance, Region 4. Region 4 on the East Coast, because that's what they're using this critical race theory to adapt and to not to adapt, but to divide Region 4 into 4 voting blocks. So they're using the critical race theory. On the East Coast are predominantly East Asians, but it cannot outlive and it cannot multiply more than those who are living in Georgetown, are predominantly Afro and that are predominantly mixed. So they're using Region 4 on the east coast of Demerara. If and this is how they're using it. Let us use Annandale. For instance, Annandale has a population of, let us say, 10,000 people. And out of those 10,000, 6,000 of them are East Asians. So that area is overpopulated. That's where they have their higher votes of the race. So you call it critical race theory because they know they can get the race vote from there. So instead of allotting 1 seat to Annandale, they will allot 3 or 4 seats to Annandale. And let's shift down to Buxton now. Because Buxton are predominantly Afrocentric, which means that Afro-Guyanese are living there predominantly. Although it's mixed up, it has a little Indian living there and Afro-Guyanese, and are predominantly, let us say, 80 or 90%. Remember, Buxton is on the East Coast, so they're not going to award 3 and 4 seats to Buxton. They will award 1 seat to Buxton. On the East Coast, on the East Bank, they will do it the same way. The heavily predominantly Indian area, they're going to award more seats than to the heavily predominantly Afro areas. So they're coming down to Georgetown now, where they want to interfere with the town councils. It is the same way that they're doing it. Critical race theory. They already have an assessment done. How many Indian living in which East Asians living in which area, so they can award more votes to that particular area and lesser votes to those who are living in the black area. And how are they doing that? Let me show you, for instance, they're using development. They're using community development to award more seats. You check and see the black area that are more populated but are less developed. They live in a ghetto style area. So there's no economic development there. So More seats cannot be awarded because there's nobody to represent the economic development. It cannot be identified. So they're using that critical race theory to take away our votes. So what will happen now? Come general elections, general and regional elections, if this critical race theory movement that they're trying to employ on Region 4 by dividing it into voting blocks, who you think will win majority of the seats, although those that are Afrocentric or those that are Afro-Guyanese are the majority in population? Who you think they will award it to? To the more developed area that has more East Asians living in them. That is their intentions. That is the theory that they want to use in order to win an election. So no more there'll be a majority rules. No more there'll be a proportional representation. They want to divide up the place. So it's going to work. And believe you me, they're taking the same strategy to all the stronghold areas of the APNU AFC. There are people who are predominantly voting for them. They're taking the strategies. They will. It's already documented. The next parliament they have, they're going to take that same theory, that same bill that has that critical race theory on it. And I call it critical race theory. CRT. And they're going to take that to the National Assembly and they're going to argue it and they're going to pass it by a simple majority. Unless if somebody picks up back the mace. You see, Guyanese, you have to identify the problems that you're seeing forthcoming. And this is what they intend to do. They're going to use economic blocks and they're going to blockade those communities so you cannot develop. They're going to make sure that the blockades that are going to put on those communities, those Afro communities that no economic development shall proceed from it. Your boys on the social media talking about youths going to be awarded some kind of economic benefits so they can develop in their areas. Fine, I don't mind. Don't talk about it, do it. A man can wake up and share with $8 million, he can wake up and share with 10. Don't talk about it, do it. The PPP has been doing that for years. They talk about what they want to talk about and they do differently. They're worse than everybody else. And they come and they give you assistance that cannot develop you economically. And those who they think can be developed economically, they will kill us. Like how Ronald Waddell died. Remember? It was what's his name? Sean Hines that went to national television and said, well, look, they call me and they give me a walk to go and kill the boy, the big man, the Rasta man, the well-educated one, the one who is trying to pull his people out of the darkness. As a matter of fact, out of not the darkness, the pit of hell that the PPP would have been placed them in, that are killing them out slowly or quickly. And they ended his life because he was a threat to them. It is the same thing with Crummy Wing. He challenged the Attorney General, and because he was educated enough to know what he's doing, they killed him. And those who rejected them and their ways, those people died under their watch. You can forget the minister, Saturday Osa. He was assassinated because he didn't want to do the things that they were trying to do. You know, some people may vex when People like me take my time to explain what is going on in my country, time to see what is going on in my country, and trying to help persons to know what is going on in the country and educate them. They might be so mad at you. They don't want you to educate them. They don't want you to tell them the right things, the truth. But the truth must be told. The truth must not be kept from persons to understand what is going on. Why must I keep the truth from you? You deserve to know what's going on in your country. It is the same thing with the sovereign wealth fund. The committee said that you cannot come with a simple majority of parliament. You could only come with two-thirds majority of parliament. So they know they can't approach it as they feel like. So they're going to borrow monies based upon what is in the sovereign wealth fund. And countries will happily lend them because the country knows that they have an account there. That at some day it will be opened up in order for them to take from it. So they will lend them. And Guyana will be going slowly and slowly into debt, where its people will be impoverished. People will see poverty more than anything else. And whilst the 1% is getting richer and the 99% is becoming poorer. So what happens? They call a little man like myself. No, I'm not little, but they call a black man like myself and they give him a car and a house and they give him some money. Like let us say $2, $3 million. And they use him as a yardstick, enslaved to their propaganda, to take away your beliefs as an Afro Guyanese. It's like the one that they use on the social media. The DJ who talked about all Guyanese wants to do is sport, drink, and get drunk and keep out of politics. But it's not keeping out of politics, it's keeping ourselves in what is reality. Because whilst you're over there enjoying hundreds of millions or hundreds of thousands of Guyanese dollars, the the super rich, the dictators are enjoying billions of US dollars. So when they reach to that stage, you can't take that money away from them anymore. They are becoming tyrants. And tyrants think they can live forever. You wake up and you speak bad about them, you're dead next morning, you're found with a hole in your head. And that is what has been taking place in this country over and over and over again. You know, I talked about the 3,000 persons that were laid off, the public servants today. And I talked about them finding opportunities in the employment market that is not there. And I talked about some of them resorting to crime. And someone said to me, look, that was their choice. And I talked about how can you look for choices in a place that there's none because it's constitutional thievery. You check in the private sector community, over $27 billion was passed for them, and they're less than 10,000 of employment. And in the public sector, which is more than 50,000 as employment, $4,500 has been given to them with a threat that if you shall speak, you shall lose your job. You really understand what's going on? This is real enslavement. This is real time slavery that you're talking about. It's like when Movie Tongue put out a scary room. When you go into the scary room, a doll that is darker than me depicting a slave hanging from a tree. And up to now, you can guarantee that you still find black people going there to support them. And the people are making a mockery off of us at Halloween at that time last year. We talked about all of this. It was a conversation, it moved from one thing to the next, but you can see people are trying to stifle their conscience because there's no way to turn. But history has to be told. A people who know not their history tends to repeat itself. And I'm going to reiterate. A people who know not their history tends to repeat itself. And because we don't know our history, and because being enslaved is part of a European system that we live by, it has been pounced upon us so greatly and dramatically by the People's Progressive Party because they see it as a way of capitalizing upon the wealth of Guyana when it's being supported by an international community. Remember, it was the same party that went in 2020 on the 21st of December and voted at the United Nations in the United Nations on Human Rights to vote against a bill that was put forward to stop first world countries from practicing systematic racism and slavery upon black people. They vote against that. It was Caroline Rodriguez who represented Guyana at the United Nations. And she went and tell the world like she doesn't know what she was voting for. Are you serious? It was the de facto, what's his name? I try to remember the poor guy's name because he's of no use to me anyhow. Who went and said that there's no racism being practiced in Guyana. And they had people of all ethnic groups went to New York, especially those in the opposing factor, went to New York, the opposing politicians, and participated in a march to end racism in Guyana. And they were annoyed. They got the town clerk to take away the guards, the security guards, from the mayor's home so his family can be threatened because he's of East Asian descent and he supports the People's National Congress in which he's a member of. But he's the mayor for Georgetown City. That's what they did. These people can only live in revenge. For them, it's revenge politics. Oh, you're an East Asian like me and you support the party? Well, I can put you in the pressure. That's the only thing that they're good to do. But when you stand up and you protest against them, they don't like it. They complain. They complain. Now, whilst doing that, they're setting a precedent for all black people. Come into this entertainment culture. Come into this entertainment life. This is the only thing good for you. Open up a shop next door in your community that has a whole lot of children running around. Open up a shop next door, a bar, sell alcohol. Open up another bar down the street. Have naked skin girls swinging around a post. Open up another bar up down the street again where you can encourage gambling. So what happens there? The culture for that community is now being taken away from them because all the child is going to see when they're passing to and fro to go home and to go to school is prostitution, alcohol, and drugs. And the drugs brings the guns and the crimes. And who's feeding this community? These international corporations that invests in ripping apart the cultural aspects of that black community. So one can sit on 94.1 and says, oh, well, there's no black role models. Because he, that child, would have sat down and understand that in every black community, there's someone who's taking away from them, which they don't have to receive because it's an entertainment culture. Now he picks up himself and goes into those communities to support and promote sports. That is the only enhancement that are good for us. We entertain those in the outer world by calling ourselves sportsmen and women. That's the only thing that is good for us economically. So when we do that now, that's the only way we're going to receive a piece of land. We're going to receive a car and a little money. And another thing too was raised today in our conversation. It talked about walking down Brick Dam and you seeing lots of people who are standing in front of the housing ministry wanting a piece of house lot. And he was talking about the difference of East Asians and the difference of Black Guyanese who don't find themselves lining up to receive house lots. But here was the problem. Here what's the problem. Let us say you've been granted a piece of house lot and you went to the bank to secure a loan to build your house. The bank would look at your salary. The bank would look at your family size. The bank would look at the different things that they can gain in case you cannot afford to complete the loan that you're now seeking. First thing the bank is going to ask you is to take out a life insurance. Big business. When it already asks you to take out a life insurance, now they're going to ask you for how many working people in your household. Big business again. So when that is submitted and you so granted that loan, it comes with stipulations. The bank is going to tell you can't build a shop in front of the house that can bring income. You can imagine that. You can't build a shop in front of the house. Or you can't put up a structure there and call it a shop to bring in income so you can sell goods and services to the community. So you can be better off in paying that loan. The bank doesn't want you to do that. And you have to wait until a certain amount of year or time has passed for you to invest. And the bank now is asking you to invest in tenantry, building your house in such a way you build apartments. Why think about what I'm talking about? In that apartment, you want to rent it for $50,000, $60,000 a month. A person now comes to your house to rent it or to your apartment only can afford 40, but takes it because he or she is in dire straits. 2 months down the road, they can't pay your rent. See what happened? You have setbacks now in your mortgage. You now have to work overtime to pay that mortgage. Sometimes what happens because you skip 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, the bank sees your property from you. These are the disadvantages we have as a black people, as black people. The other disadvantage, let's say you get the house lot from Ministry of Housing. The price for it, they give you 18 months to complete the payment. When 18 months pass and you can't complete the payment, they're worse than the bank. They come and they repossess your property because you affix your signature to a contract. You want to know why I'm saying all this? Because those that are of the different race has more privileges than us. So these are one of the factors that we got to look at, that where we have advantages and disadvantages. Let us look at crime. Every time you mention the name of a black man, you think of him as, oh, he's a criminal. But if you put up his photograph, you look for the most distorted one, so he can be portrayed as a criminal, as a thief, because they're quick to say 5 man choke me and rob me, take away money. I look like five Rasta man. No, we gotta be serious. These are the things that are eating away at our culture as a people. So when we find somebody to rise up to represent us, it becomes a problem for those who doesn't want us to be represented. Our own black brothers and sisters who doesn't want us to be represented. They speak of us like if we are racists. They jump down our throats. They find all kinds of names to call us. And when we stand up to represent that what is needed to be represented, it becomes a serious problem. You know, I wanna I wanna say that splitting up Region 4 is a bad story. It's a bad, bad, bad story. Mr. Norton, if you're looking, I want you to understand that this is the most racist, this is the most oppressed, this is the most scariest part of what politics is in this country when we have a racist party like the PPP intends to divide us according to class. They're bringing not only the apartheid system here, they want to implement class system so those who can be seen as dust till dawn can remain as dust till dawn. They're putting us in a margin in which they want to keep us there. And the problems is that you see the identification in which they want to take from this country and from a people to put into their pockets because all they can think of is friends and family. Guyanese, let's don't forget, we had suffered greatly and we are still suffering because some of us hasn't gotten the job as yet from since we're being laid off from the public sector because we had contracts and not we weren't public servants. It is the duty of the government to find and to create employment. It's not an economic gimmick or economic political gimmick. It's a must be done by any government. You need to free up the economic strategy so we can benefit from it also too. A black man can go to the bank and borrow $1 million without trying to get hell over heaven so he can take it back to the bank to say, well, I can do this. He can be at ease so when he walk into any organization that lends money. I had some information down that I wanted to talk about. I don't think I received it. I have it written down here. Oh no, I don't have it written down here. But there's some information that I wanted to release since today. Oh, I have it up, says in the next part. That I wanted people to understand what's going on in this country. There's a complaint come of some young lady who represents the PPP in Peters Hall. And she shares away all the hampers to those who she thinks are PPP. And all the African Guyanese that lives in Peters Hall can't get anything from her because she's in charge. I mean, you're getting calls for all sorts of things, and people are complaining because People's Progressive Party is all about racism. That's what they practice. That's their number one goal. That's their number one agenda. The more racist that the more that they create a racist system, is the better for them because only them will profit. And they keep creating laws. They keep creating systems that they can say because you're undeveloped, because you're not economically strong, you cannot be a representation, you cannot be a stakeholder, you cannot say anything, you can't even represent yourself because you are minority. And if you understand what is a minority, you'll then understand that you have no freedom at all. To those who are looking, you can check up the word and you can see what a minority means. You are not able to represent yourself because your culture is entertainment. It's all about guns, drugs, money, and crime and prostitution. It's all about that. And to those who get a little, they train them not to think of their own, they train them to think of themselves. So when you get 1 million and 2 million, you want to open up a pub, or look, or you want to open any business, you're only there to enrich yourself and not your community, not other people, while the others are enriching all those who know around them and their community so they can be economically viable and not us. Let's look at it in a serious way. You got $1 million. What did you open the bar? To do what? To consume large amount of alcohol. To party and jiggle all day, all night. Why can't you open up a school to teach people? Why can't you put yourself, create scholarships, programs, so people can develop educationally, so economically they can be strong? Why don't you invest your money in co-ops? You got 100, you got $200 million. Invest your money in co-ops. Show people that you can. This co-op can be built and it can be strong economically by their produce, by the sweat of thy brow, and they can inherit the benefits of the co-op. Why can't you do that? You know, it's hard. Hold on. I think it's a long time I really look at my screen properly. I just, what's his name? Anil what? Anil Chand Anil Chand Didat. Anil Anil Chand Diadat. Yes, that's your name, Diadat. Chand Diadat. I just block you. I don't want you to be cursing on my comment section. I got decent people on here, Anil. Who knows? It might be Anil Nanalan and all too. I got decent people on here. People who tune into the Gavin Matthews show, the GMS Live, Voice of Democracy, comes here to be educated. They themselves even educate me because they help me to know that I have to keep on reading so I can talk to them. Some can be awakened and some can be in the process of doing that because they're being challenged by others. This is what a role model does. This is what a wealthy man does. He shares his knowledge, which is his wealth. We don't encourage people to come and drink alcohol to give away their wealth and their knowledge. By the time they wake up, they're so intoxicated that they can't remember what they did yesterday. We don't encourage women to come and to be prostitutes because they can't do nothing better. When we can teach them to be self-reliant. Because they are the ones who teaches self-reliance to their family. They make me, the men, stay in place because of their struggles to keep the family together. That's the culture. There's nothing wrong in teaching us that culture. Help us to know where we came from. We can go back there because that's how the strength of economics are built upon. People who can work, think, and do things to build a strong economic community and a strong economic region. That's how it used to work years ago, and it still works that way. But I don't know what is stopping us because we have black leaders who tend to want to lead us down the wrong road. You know, I used to think that sometimes there's a serious problem with people who are having money, you know, and who are trying to misplace and misinform people because they want their wealth to grow. When I look at people who are coming against us, people who are fighting for the rights of Guyanese, for people like me who are fighting for the rights of my people and also Guyanese, it's amazing how people come against us because all we do is use the social medium for which it is designed for. Use it the right way, not to entertain people, but to educate people, not to accept tyranny and terror, but to speak against it, not to not to be enslaved, but to revolt against slavery. That is what I'm talking about. It's not all about money. If you have money without sense, how are you going to use it? Think about it. If you got money without sense, how are you going to use it? You would never use it the right way. You could never use it the right way. It's going to walk away from you. Teach your people how to be self-reliant. Don't spoon feed them. Let them know how self-reliance is more good. To be reliant upon thyself to provide for your family and yourself. Let them know how good it is to do that. Don't teach them nonsense. You know, don't teach them the things that wouldn't benefit them. Ask yourself, are you beneficial to your community of black people? Are you a role model to them? What do you think at the end of the day? Are you investing your time in them becoming strong, not only as a community but economically? Are you helping them to create businesses that they can invest in each other? So in order to be strong, and how you think that does? How you think that happens? It's simple. You like to make plantain chips? Buy from the man next door that grows the plantain. So every time you sell to your community, you're investing into the person who's producing the item so you can make the plantain chip. When you go outside of the community and buy the plantain from some other source where the person who's growing it, you can't invest in him, well, then he can't see the benefits of your climb to the top. That's how the money circulates. That's I own a printery. My cousin is a minister. Ensures that my business benefits from his ministry that he's working. And then when I print, I go and buy papers to print from my friend who's bringing it in the country, who's shipping. That's how the money works. It circulates. Hand wash hand, make hand come clean. That's how the wealth is shared. I am the minister, and I know another ministry needs shoes for their workers. I recommend to my other colleague who's a minister to say, well, look, try this person. They bring good shoes in so your workers can have shoes. So those who get uniform vouchers to buy uniform, the cloth, the uniform cloth, and the shoes. That's how the wealth is shared. I have a wholesale store down the line. I'm trying to wholesale some stuff and items, and I'm trying to bring in potatoes. I got somebody who's selling cheese, please, down at the other end. So that person can come and buy from me, and I can go and buy from him because he's buying the potatoes to make the cheese, please. He's buying the potatoes, the cheese, and the oil to make me viably strong. That's how a community rises economically when they invest in each other. I am an educator. I take my time. I spend my money to educate. I make leaps beyond boundaries. I sacrifice my time, my life, my energy to make sure I stand up for a people that needs to be represented. I'm always happy to come and to sit and to educate and to learn because I don't educate only, I learn. Every single day I get into a different conversation with somebody else, I learn from them. Look, I have to be at the Meadow Bank and I'm studying when to go because the people are crying out that there are no fish to bring in because from since ExxonMobil shape up, the fish is not coming. It is simple. I want you all to understand this. It is very, very simple. There are three steps an oil rig takes. One, to dump enough oil around where they're about to drill so as to keep away the fish. One, the other one is to dump enough chemicals so nothing would be there. And the amount of vibration and the noise that that pump makes at the ocean floor would chase away any marine life. It is common sense. But these people ain't gonna tell you these things. These these politicians we turn up ain't gonna tell you. You could imagine you got the rat sit down there for tell people scientifically that oil rigs don't chase away fish. Do you know how much people you're putting on the breadline from the fishing community? These people who get up and to make fishing part of their lives when the day come, to keep their livelihoods. Not only that, but to support and to supply the market the need for it. But you know what? It's hard for us to understand when we don't have people to teach us, to inform us, to educate us as what is happening around us. Before I close tonight, I want to say this. This de facto administration are no longer intend to think about Guyanese. They're thinking about one thing, US currency. That's on their mind. And before I even close, I want to say this to Mr. Joseph Harmon. Please pick up your boodloops and go thy way. Nobody wants you. Stop hanging around. Stop trying to hold a press conference and a news briefing. Stop trying to give a speech. We were told that when the night of the when the day of the voting in parliament you were overseas, but not knowing you were right in Guyana. Give up the position that you have lost. The only way you can be there is only the leader of the opposition accepts you for you to remain as an opposition leader in parliament. But as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't even want you. Nobody wants you. And I don't think Aubrey Norton in his right mind that he has the little faculties that he have left back are going to have you remain there when people predominantly voted to put you out of that position by putting him there. It's just time for you to just go thy way. Slither thyself into the darkness of the night and rest upon the bright dawn of the next day. Nobody will tell you anything. I won't have to come on my program to ask you to leave. It's time you do. People are tired of seeing you and tired of hearing who elected you to the position when you were never elected. You were placed in that position by David Granger. Oh man, just go thy way in peace. People need strength and upliftment. Guyanese are pregnant for righteousness. They're ready to give birth because they need a change. They're tired of seeing all this fussing and fighting, and the PPP only putting them more into poverty and slavery and oppression. It's time for you to just simply go thy way. I want to say thank you for all those who have joined and those who have kept me going, especially for the past 2 years. I want to thank you very much. My 2 year anniversary is coming up in the month of March, and March is right around the corner. And I want to say to you to stay strong, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. Yes, I'm about to leave because I have all the engagements to work upon. Stay safe, be careful as again, sanitize thyself, wear a mask, and don't forget the little ones you take into public places. This is Dr. Matthews saying good night and Cheerios for now.